This is the invitation to do a mini constellation exercise, and I will explain you in the beginning how to do that, and then I will show you in a short demonstration how it is done. The main purpose of this exercise is to explore the role and the potential of ETS competence model in your youth work system. This exercise could be done in two ways. One is if you have another two persons to help you, you can ask them to represent certain elements in the exercise that I will explain later. Or if you do it alone, you need to use something that we call floor markers. And floor markers are nothing more than just pieces of A4 paper, and you will need also a marker to make a floor marker. In this mini constellation there are three elements. One element is a youth work system, your youth work system. So this is one element that you need to write on one sheet of paper. So youth work system. And what is important that you know which youth work system are you referring to. Is it youth work system of your town? Is it youth work system of your country or local community? So which youth work system are you addressing to? And to make a floor marker, you may need also to make a little arrow on the top of the sheet, which actually shows the direction where this particular element is directing its focus, its attention, and we're going to use that in the exercise. So the first element is your youth work system in your context. The second element is ETS competence model. So ETS competence model for youth workers. And also on this one you also need to draw an arrow showing the direction of this element in the exercise. The third element is unused potential in youth work in your context. So it's unused potential. So it's not unused potential in the country or unused potential in you personally, it's really unused potential in youth work. And again, you need to draw a little arrow which also points the direction of this element in the exercise. If you have two friends or two colleagues to help you with the exercise, you can ask them to represent one element each, and you represent the third element. For example, you can represent youth work in your system, another colleague can represent ETS competence model, and the third one can represent unused potential in youth work in your context. In case you do it alone, you will need to use the floor markers, these three sheets of paper with arrows showing the direction of each of the elements, and then you will need to step on each one by one, sensing what's going on in this particular element. What is important to say in any way that you do the exercise, this is not a role play, this is not acting. You really use yourself as an instrument of knowing. You sense what's going on there, you sense what are the relations between other elements, and perhaps maybe energy of each part. So just tune in into the representation and just harvest whatever comes from there. In the beginning of exercise, you need to put the floor markers, and you need to sense before where the position is. So perhaps maybe you can start with the youth work system. So you place it somewhere on the floor, And then in relation to that, you place the other one. So again, it's not what you think it should be, but really where it is. So where is ETS competence model in relation to your youth work system at the moment? So maybe it can be somewhere here. And the third one is unused potential in youth work. You may place it somewhere here. When you've done that, you enter each position one by one and pay attention to what happens to you there. So again, it's not role play, it's not acting, just sense what happens to you when you represent that particular element. So when you enter youth work system in your context, what's the energy there? What's going on there? And what's the relation to other two elements? What's the quality of those relations? Which one of them take your attention more? Harvest whatever you need to harvest from this position. Get out of it, and they take another position. You can enter, for example, ETS competence model. Tune in and sense again what's happening there. How does it relate to youth work system and to the unused potential? What's the quality of these relations? Maybe there's a sentence coming from this position. If there is a sentence to some of the other elements, you may say it, or just remember it. You harvest what is happening there, you go out of that position, you can shake a bit, and then you enter into the third position, which is unused potential in youth work in your system. So feel how it feels to be this unused potential. Where is your focus? Whom do you see? Whom do you don't see? Who can see you? What's the quality of relations to youth work system? And what's your relation to ETS competence model? If there's any energy there or direction that you can sense, just notice that. If there's any sentence, you can say it, or just remember it. When you've done with that, go out a little bit for a second, and then you finish the exercise in the position of youth work system. From there, you sense what wants to happen in this youth work system. Is there any insights that coming from here? What does ETS competence model bring? Or perhaps takes away? From youth work system? And what's the relation to the unused potential? What wants to happen here? harvest that and stay for a second with these insights, and then slowly leave the field. Now, after the exercise, it's time to harvest your learnings. So what came to you as insights about the systemic role of the ETS competence model in your youth work system? How does it relate to unused potential? What does it strengthen? Or what does it weaken? What does it bring? What does it disrupt? What does it contribute? What's the invitation for the ETS competence model in your youth work system, if any? Is there any access point? Is there any future direction that you can sense? The way your youth work system wants to develop? Is there a role to play by ETS competence model in that development?